With the release of the 8.2.0 patch, a beloved tracker used by streamers, speedrunners, and many PC players alike was silently killed with a few changes of code, and why this could mean a 2-year open source project could be potentially gone. With the introduction of 8.2.0, Meteoronic recently changed the way Fall Guys calculates and records time. It changed from a timestamp system to where it would log minutes, seconds, and milliseconds to now a date stamp system to where it only calculates the date, the day, month, and year. I'm oversimplifying here, but it effectively broke a popular Fall Guys tracker called Fall Guys Stats, which is what players and streamers and speedrunners alike use to track their wins, their losses, how many shows they've played, the rounds they played in that show, their time, which is especially important because it can be used for speedruns since it tracks down to the millisecond. And one of the most underrated things that this tracker does, it actually shows you your ping, which means you're able to actually check your connection, and it just does so much more that I just mentioned. Fall Guys Stats was made by a user called Shoot Me way back in August of 2020 when Fall Guys first came out, and it's open source, meaning you can see the code and even contribute to its development yourself, so as long as you have knowledge of C#, the programming language used. The tracker would only use your in-game log files to track how you're performing. You can find the in-game log files, by the way. It's not a very difficult thing to do. Heck, if you want to actually contact Fall Guys support, they sometimes ask you if you're in-game log files. Fall Guys Stats is a PC-only tracker, and it just does literally what I mentioned. It doesn't do anything malicious. It just uses the in-game log files to track your gameplay, and it even allows you to see your ping, which I briefly mentioned that the base game doesn't allow you to do. You can have a little red Wi-Fi blinking symbol, but that's kind of meaningless because, like, what is your ping? Like, am I getting 200 ping or am I getting 80 ping? There's a massive difference between the two. Regardless of all that, with the change of some code, a once beloved tracker used by dozens, maybe even hundreds of players for over 2 years is now essentially broken, and it may have a very small chance of being somewhat restored. The argument can be made that this application shouldn't have existed in the first place. It's a third-party application now made by Meteoronic. However, why wait more than 2 years to do this? Why is it a problem now? Since it's open source, Meteoronic staff can look into the code and see that's not malicious. I wouldn't be surprised if Meteoronic staff actually did look into the code to see if it was malicious and just knew that it wasn't, so they didn't do anything. Now, if Meteoronic was planning on releasing their own first-party tracker for everyone, even for console, this would kind of make sense, but as of right now, they're not planning on releasing a tracker at all, which is, it just baffles me. Thankfully, the only thing they changed in regards to tracking was the stamping system, from timestamp to date stamp. If you have C# knowledge and wish to contribute, I'll leave the link to the GitHub page in the description of the video. However, reverting to a timestamp system would be best, as that would make the tracker function properly without any major changes. Really, console players won't care because it doesn't affect them, nor will 99% of the player base, but this can't be left to die in the dark, and this is one of the many things that Meteoronic and Epic Games does that just aggravates longtime players or even people who want to track their stats. Another fan project that this killed was a website known as Fallytics, which was created by Fullyfish, and it tracks what rounds you're most likely to get in solos, squads, and duos, and the data will be collected by people who installed his version of Fall Guys Stats, which allowed that in-game data to be reported to Fallytics. This effectively killed yet another fan project. While Meteoronic has gotten slightly better at communicating with their player base, making these types of changes will really hurt its community and by extension, the game.